Hi friends, this is your pal Scott Garibay, and today we are going to talk about Brennan Lee Mulligan's Critical Role campaign for Araman versus the up-and-comer, right? The queen that wishes to be king, and that is Deborah Ann Woll, coming for the #1 Dungeons & Dragons live-action play position in the world, right? And I think she chose her moment very carefully. Ain't nobody want to go against Matthew Mercer, but now you don't have to. You can go against his substitute teacher and take that crown, right? And I think that's exactly what Deborah Ann Woll is doing. Today, I want to talk about innovation location. I want to compare Deborah Ann Woll's Tales of Woodcreek to Brennan Lee Mulligan's campaign for Araman. Okay, so let's compare their locations. So first of all, Critical Role ain't no slouch. They got at least $1 million invested in their location, right? So you got, premium gaming table, premium dice around it. Well, do they have premium dice? They could be rolling $10 chessics, right? Who knows? No cameras on them. Like you can find videos on that subject right here. So basically, but they really, and like they have a studio where they can control the lighting. They've invested a ton, right? They literally have probably the most money invested in a tabletop role-playing game room anywhere, right? Like I think it's the #1 in the world, right? And so wait, so how on earth is Deborah Ann Woll going to beat that? Well, it's kind of hard to imagine, but she did it, right? Okay. What did she do? Well, she's like she is treating the location where the Dungeons & Dragons game is taking place like a Hollywood shoot, right? Now, why is she doing that? Because she's an actual Hollywood star. She's not a voice actor, right? Like, we treat them like they're real Hollywood celebrities, but the reality is in real Hollywood, they're stable boys, right? Like they're not really, but Deborah Ann Woll is not a voice actress, right? She is a for realsies full-on Hollywood celebrity. She knows what a Hollywood shoot location is. And that's exactly what she's doing with her Dungeons & Dragons live action play. She is taking the people who are playing the game and taking them to locations that emphasize the play that is occurring in that session. So like in session 1, one of the locations was a schoolroom because the location in the Dungeons & Dragons lore was a schoolroom. So in the IRL, it was a schoolroom. In the lore, it was a schoolroom. And so the idea was that this would give a better, like when Deborah Ann Woll is acting like the school marm character, she could get the vibes of literally holding the chalk and having a blackboard behind her, right? And it works. I really think, I think Deborah Ann Woll has done a fantastic job of really bringing this to life. And it does add cost to, it really adds cost to the Dungeons & Dragons session, and it makes what she's doing much more difficult, right? But at this point, it's actually on Critical Role to match this, right? They've been around for a decade. They have millions and millions of dollars, and frankly, just sitting there and thinking that your Wormwood table or whatever, whoever supplies their table, right, is gonna cut it, right? Because like you got Bezos money coming in, right? So Deborah Ann Woll is working a lot harder to do an actual innovation, for a location of the session. Now wait a second, Scott. Did you say that wasn't one of your groups like Gygaxian structure, but now you're actually using innovation as an attribute? Yes, that's an excellent point. You caught something there, right? Innovation is great. It needs to make things better, and that's the part that I think. So, Deborah Ann Woll is actually innovating D&D live action play, whereas I feel like when I'm watching Critical Role often, they're making a ton of changes but none of them improve Dungeons and Dragons. Now, I do think these changes make it more agreeable and enjoyable for the Critical Role table, for the players at the table, but it doesn't make it better for the Dungeons and Dragons community. Well, Scott, it's just their table. No, come on, let's stop pretending, right? This is not like the idea that this is what they like to do and this is their table is ludicrous. They are a global platform. They are a corporation that pay people. This is a business at this point. The idea that, oh, this is for them. And this is my issue too, right? Like if you play American professional football and you say I'm not a role model, yeah, well, you could say that, but you are, right? It's the same thing here. Critical Role owes the D&D community more, and frankly, even just sitting in their multi-million-dollar D&D lair, it's not enough, right? Deborah and Woll has surpassed them. 1 point to Tales from Woodcreek, 0 points to Campaign Araman. Every single word you just heard in this video is my humble opinion. Nothing more, nothing less. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic. Please consider subscribing and have a fetch millennium.